Welcome back. We're nearing the end of our first session and the excitement is building ahead of the captain's pick. This is where the captains pick the player on the opposing team to play in the next game. That's coming in a couple of moments' time, but let's show you what's happened so far, because it's been a dramatic start, I think it's fair to say, to Weber Cup 14. Look at this, 2 300 games. Chris Barnes and Tommy Jones back-to-back. It's never been done before. In fact, only 3 perfect games in previous Weber Cup history, but 2 in 2 matches. Just incredible. And the USA have already opened up a lead. Right then, the captains are standing alongside me. It's time to ask them who they've decided in the captain's pick will face each other. Now, Chris, I'm going to ask you first. It's a great addition to this. We did this for the first time last year, and I know it's been a hard choice, but who have you gone for and why?
Well, Dominic was out. He had the best bar reaction of everybody. We're not going to let Stu bowl back-to-back matches, so it came down to the 2 Swedes, and we picked Mika. So we know he's going to bowl a good game, but for him, the 220 is about as low as we can get out of him, so we're going to take our chances there.
So you're picking Mika Koivuniemi, one of the greatest bowlers that ever lived, as your captain's pick?
Yes, and that means he cannot bowl in the next session.
Okay, good tactics. Well, Mika, let me speak to you and find out who you guys have picked to face you and why.
It's really easy. DJ and Barnes bowled 300, so they are out. And O'Neill's has bowled, so Fagan is left. And he was the first one to miss them anyway, so.
Okay, so you're going to be facing Mike Fagan. How do you feel about being selected yourself for this captain's, a legend of the sport, having been selected? Isn't that a bit of an indignity?
No, it was kind of expected. I was surprised if they didn't pick me.
Okay, cool, calm and collected as always. Ladies and gentlemen, big round of applause for our 2 bowlers and our captain's pick match. Let's hand you over to our commentators then for this final match of the first session, Cass Edwards and Andy Bodfish.
So it's the last singles match in this opening session of Weber Cup 14. The United States lead Europe 4-1. It is Mike Fagan against Mika Koivuniemi in the captain's pick match. Mike Fagan, his 228, enough to beat Martin Larsen's 206 in singles matchup number 3. That extended the Americans' lead to 3-1. Leaves the 10-pin standing with his opening bowl.
Yeah, not the best shot in the world to open up, but just testing the water. Mike Fagan just a little bit inside his mark, and of course the ball turns up high on the head pin, leaves the 10-pin standing. This is not a freshly dressed lane. It's had a couple of games on it, so the balls will be hooking.
Makes a spare, never any danger of that.
So up steps the big Finn, Major Mika, or the Moose as he's known here in Barnsley to the bowling fans.
I'm not seeing too much of that famous celebration thus far. Long way to go in Weber Cup 14, of course. Mika was the Americans' captain's pick at this stage last year. Starts out with the strike.
And that will do very nicely, thank you. Trying to encourage the European fans here in the arena to make some noise. Classic strike here from Mika Koivuniemi. Followed his career quite a long time now, and I always say that Mika is the man that at any time can shoot 280 or 290, if not 300. Fagan, the king of swing, the high back swing, the deep knee bend, and the long slide. Carries 10 pins. And number 2.
Strike in frame 2 for Mike Fagan.
Yeah, and again we saw the 2 300 men, Jones and Barnes, just having a little tactical chat.
10 pin just about tumbled, it wiped its feet.
Well, I mean, it was in the pocket. Here we see Mika lofting it down the lane. It's just a fraction wide, but it comes back, hits the pocket reasonably well. Leaves the 7-10. I mean, that's just outrageous. The pins are just laying in the gutter. He's very fortunate that that 10 pin's gone. So this can only be a single pin spare. It's the spare ball out, which goes fast and straight.
Yeah, but 5-1 or 4-2. Well, there's a big difference in that, and psychologically as well, going into the second session. Europe, they want to end this with a bit of joy. It hasn't been too much thus far on opening night at the Barnsley Metrodome. The US on this terrific run in the Weber Cup at the expense of their European rivals. Another strike for Mike.
Yes, 2 strikes in a row for Mike Fagan, who's gaining in confidence ball by ball. But when you've got people like Jones and Barnes on your team that have held the perfect games in this session, your confidence must be quite high and growing all the time. There's some work to do for Mika. He's also got to get his own side encouraged.
We're happy enough with that.
Yeah, good looking shot, great reaction in the back end, and Mika strikes in frame 3. 10 pins adrift if they could all strike out. And there's the well-known loft of the Koivuniemi ball, and there's the well-known slightly light in the pocket, I'm afraid, but it's carried all 10. Great reaction off that bowling ball. So it's strike for strike. 10-pin lead for Fagan.
Fagan looking for his turkey and getting it there. Mike Fagan in the groove.
Yeah, good looking shot. He's can strike off for 290, which is 10 pins more than Koivuniemi can do, and that's if they strike all the way. Great looking shot here. Fantastic hook as that ball comes back up towards the head pin. It's a little bit fortunate. I don't want to be too critical, but it wasn't flush in the pocket, but it did get all 10. Makes 3 strikes in a row for the American. It's pressure time now, back on the European captain. He's got to go strike for strike.
And makes it. Well played, Mika. That's his double.
Well, that's the starter, but he's got to keep carrying on as long as Fagan's in the lead. That's the situation.
Last singles match that Europe won in the Weber Cup was midway through session 3 last year, when Osku Palermo brought it back to 8-7 in the Americans' favour. We know what happened thereafter. The US simply swept the board. So nearly another strike there for Mike Fagan.
Yeah, it's hard to believe that he left a single pin and it didn't get hit by something coming behind it. Big snap of the wrist there, puts a lot of rotation on the ball. High in the head pin, great looking shot. Ball cuts through and misses that 9 pin. And it won't be hit from behind, so it stands up and can only be a spare. Hard and straight with the single pin is the way to take them, and he does. You can see the difference. His score drops now to 269 as a maximum after that spare. Koivuniemi needs to strike here for 3 in a row, just to retain the possible lead that you may have after this ball.
And that 10 pin left standing again. Europe will feel things are not going their way in this opening session.
Just when you thought Mika would get a strike, or wanted a strike, or needed a strike, he rings a 10 pin. The 6 pin just jumps all around it with no reaction whatsoever. Again, it's the corner pin. They're standing up so often now these 10 pins. So at the halfway stage, there's just 10 pins adrift between the two teams.